In 2026, Cooper Lutkenhaus didn't just confirm his potential, he accelerated straight past it. What had been discussed as future promise suddenly became present-day impact. Competing against seasoned professionals rather than junior fields, the teenager delivered performances that forced the entire middle-distance community to reassess expectations. His indoor campaign, highlighted by record-breaking runs in both the 600 meters and the 800 meters, was not simply impressive for his age, it was competitive at the highest level of the sport. The 600 meters has always occupied a unique space in track and field. It demands the explosive speed of a sprinter combined with the endurance discipline of an 800-meter specialist. Athletes often struggle to find the correct balance, go out too aggressively, and the final stretch becomes a fight for survival. Hold back too much, and the race is effectively lost before the decisive phase begins. Lutkenhaus approached the event with a level of control rarely seen in athletes at any age, let alone someone still eligible for U20 competition. From the opening strides, his race execution stood out. There was no sign of panic or overexertion. Instead, he established a smooth, controlled rhythm, fast enough to stay competitive but measured enough to conserve energy. His stride mechanics were efficient, his upper body relaxed, and his cadence consistent. These are subtle details, but at elite levels they define the difference between maintaining pace and collapsing under pressure. As the race progressed into its critical final stages, where many athletes begin to tighten and lose form, Lutkenhaus maintained composure. There was no visible breakdown in technique, no excessive strain, no frantic sprinting. He simply continued to apply controlled pressure, extending his advantage step by step. When he crossed the finish line in 1 minute 14.15 seconds, the time alone was enough to command attention, but the manner in which it was achieved made an even stronger statement. This was not a junior athlete capitalizing on a favorable race setup. This was a performance built on discipline, technical precision, and tactical awareness. Analysts quickly dissected the splits and pacing strategy, comparing them with senior-level benchmarks. The conclusion was clear: this was already elite-level execution. What made the run even more significant was the context. Indoor racing is inherently more demanding. The tighter turns place additional stress on balance and biomechanics, and the enclosed environment amplifies the physical strain of maintaining high speeds. To deliver such a composed performance under these conditions against experienced professionals suggested something beyond raw talent. It pointed to readiness. Yet, as impressive as the 600 meters was, it only set the stage for what came next. Because Lutkenhaus was not just experimenting across distances, he was redefining what range and versatility could look like for a young middle-distance athlete. And when he stepped onto the track for the 800 meters, the expectations were already rising. What followed did not just meet those expectations, it exceeded them in a way that shifted the narrative entirely. If the 600 meters performance introduced Cooper Lutkenhaus as a serious contender, the 800 meters confirmed that he belonged among elite company. The indoor 800 is one of the most tactically complex events in track and field. It demands not only physical strength and speed, but also positioning, awareness, and the ability to respond instantly to changes in pace. For young athletes, it is often where inexperience becomes most visible. From the start of the race, Lutkenhaus displayed none of that inexperience. Rather than chasing the lead or forcing himself into an early position, he settled into the pack with calm precision. This decision alone reflected a level of maturity that many athletes develop only after years of high-level competition. He allowed the race to unfold, conserving energy while staying within striking distance. Through the first 400 meters, the pace was honest, fast enough to challenge the field but not reckless. By 600 meters, the intensity had increased and the race began to stretch. This is typically the point where younger runners struggle. Fatigue sets in, form begins to deteriorate, and decision-making becomes reactive rather than strategic. Lutkenhaus, however, remained composed. His posture stayed upright, his stride length consistent, and his breathing controlled. There was no visible sign of panic. Instead, he appeared to be waiting, reading the race, assessing the moment to act. That moment came with approximately 200 meters remaining. When he made his move, it was decisive but controlled. There was no dramatic surge or wasted motion. He simply increased his pace with precision, gradually separating from the field. This kind of acceleration, measured rather than explosive, is a hallmark of experienced 800-meter runners. It allows the athlete to maintain efficiency while still creating a decisive gap. As he entered the final straight, it became clear that something special was unfolding. The crowd responded, recognizing the significance of the moment in real time. Lutkenhaus crossed the line in 1:45.23, setting a new U20 indoor world best and placing himself firmly within the range of elite professional performances. Indoors, a 1:45 is not just competitive, it is often race-winning. For a teenager to achieve this against seasoned professionals was a statement that extended far beyond record books. It demonstrated not only physical capability, but also the mental composure required to execute under pressure. Observers across the sport took immediate notice. Coaches highlighted his efficiency and race intelligence. Former athletes pointed to the smoothness of his mechanics and his ability to absorb pace changes without visible strain. Commentators emphasized his composure in traffic, an essential skill in indoor racing, where positioning can determine the outcome. What stood out most was not just the time, but the completeness of the performance. Lutkenhaus did not rely on a single strength. He combined speed, endurance, tactical awareness, and technical precision into a cohesive race execution. This balance is rare, particularly at such an early stage in an athlete's career. The comparisons began almost immediately, not because of titles or medals, those take time, but because of the visible tools. His stride efficiency, his relaxed upper body, and his decision-making under pressure all suggested long-term potential at the highest level. At this point, the conversation shifted. This was no longer about a promising junior athlete. It was about a competitor who could influence races at the professional level right now. As the 2026 season progresses, the rise of Cooper Lutkenhaus is being viewed through a broader lens. Breakthrough performances are not uncommon in track and field, but sustaining that level and building upon it is what ultimately defines a career. The early signs, however, suggest that Lutkenhaus's foundation is built for longevity, not just momentary success. One of the most notable aspects of his profile is his range. Excelling in both the 600 meters and the 800 meters indicates a rare combination of speed and endurance. This versatility opens multiple tactical pathways. He can handle fast, front-running races as well as slower, tactical contests where positioning and timing become critical. In modern middle-distance running, that adaptability is a major advantage. Technically, his efficiency continues to stand out. Indoor tracks expose weaknesses in form more quickly than outdoor settings. The tight turns punish overstriding and poor balance, yet Lutkenhaus maintains alignment and control throughout his races. His knee drive remains forward-focused, his cadence steady, and his energy distribution highly efficient. These details may seem subtle, but they are often what separate elite performers from the rest of the field. Another defining trait is his finishing ability. In both of his record-setting performances, the final segment was not about holding on, it was about accelerating. That capacity to change gears late in a race is one of the most valuable assets in middle-distance running. It transforms an athlete from a participant into a contender. Equally important is his composure. Despite increasing attention from media and analysts, Lutkenhaus has remained measured in interviews and public appearances. He consistently attributes his success to training, coaching, and preparation rather than individual brilliance. This mindset suggests a long-term approach, one focused on development rather than immediate validation. Historically, many teenage prodigies have struggled to transition into sustained senior success. The physical demands increase, competition intensifies, and expectations can become overwhelming. However, those close to Lutkenhaus emphasize his disciplined approach to training and recovery. Reports highlight consistent training blocks, attention to detail, and a willingness to learn, qualities that are essential for long-term progression. Looking ahead, the outdoor season will provide further insight into his trajectory. Indoor success often translates into strong outdoor performances, where conditions allow for faster times and more varied race dynamics. If his indoor marks represent a baseline, there is potential for even greater achievements as the season unfolds. For the broader middle-distance landscape, his emergence adds depth and intensity. Domestic competitions become more competitive, and international rivals are forced to take notice. The standard rises, not just because of the times, but because of the way those times are achieved. Ultimately, Lutkenhaus's 2026 indoor season represents more than a series of fast races. It marks the arrival of an athlete who competes with clarity, efficiency, and confidence. Records can be broken, but performances like these, controlled, composed, and complete, are what redefine expectations. For now, the message is simple. A teenager stepped into professional races and performed like he belonged, and the sport is already adjusting to that reality.